first I'm going to start off with my garlic. I like to mince them quite finely. Of course, you can buy these pre-minced, but I like to get the fresh one. So that's garlic done. I'm going to move on to just chopping some of our vegetables. First, I have our Chinese broccoli, also known as Gailan. Am I saying that correctly? I don't know. Gailan. I'm just chopping them nice rough chops to go into the drunken. I'll save the stems for later. Just, as you can see, not super fine, but just rough chops. They're gonna wilt in the fire, so I'm not worried about them being too big. And then I'm gonna work on the mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are typically not traditional in drunken noodles, but I like to add them. They add, I think, an extra layer of umami-ness. So this is gonna be a shrimp drunken noodles. So the shrimp and the mushroom really complement each other. The mushroom acts almost as another protein, right? It kind of fools you into thinking you're eating chicken. So yeah, I like the mushroom texture and flavor. Then I want to work on some of our tomatoes. So I'm using grape or cherry tomatoes, but you can obviously use your Roma tomatoes or any sort of tomatoes. I like these grape tomatoes because they add sort of not only a color to the dish, but an extra layer of texture that tomato adds. And I think depending on how you use tomatoes, whether it's cooked or raw, they add a different element to your dish that I really like. They added like a sort of freshness to the dish. It'll complement the saltiness of the dish really well. Okay, continuing on our vegetables, working on our Thai basil leaves. These are just provide so much flavor. You know they're Thai basil because they have this sort of purple stem, if you will, that's really, really good in drunken noodles. This is a really staple ingredient in drunken noodles. So I just want to pick them out and put them to the side and making sure that I'm getting all the leaves. The leaves are all really the flavor. I need to find a good use for the stems because I'm sure they're really, really delicious. They're very licorice, if you will, compared to traditional basil. So it provides that really tangy, soury kind of flavor. Let's work on the scallions or green onions now. These I'll probably use to top in the end. I'm just gonna use this as a sort of nice rough chop. So for the sauce, we're gonna use 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, 1 tablespoon of dark soy. If you have light soy, this will also be good with light soy and dark soy. Use a little bit of each. In this case, I'm just using a tablespoon of dark. 1 teaspoon of fish sauce. A little goes a long way with fish sauce, so you want to be careful. I'll usually taste the dish throughout as we're cooking to make sure that it's not too fish saucy, and I'll add more if I feel like it needs a little bit more saltiness. You normally have Thai chilies with this dish, but I don't have that, so I'm using chili garlic sauce. I'm just gonna add a little bit of that, maybe a big teaspoonful. This is adding a depth of flavor. The spice is really gonna marry with the saltiness of the soy and the umami-ness of the fish sauce. And then I'm gonna add maybe a teaspoon of sugar. Just gonna eyeball that, right? You can always add more. What I love about Thai food and Thai dishes in general is that they really mix all these flavors together. You have sweet and salty and savory. So all these flavors are coming together in this sauce. So let's give it a little taste. There's a good tang there. I want to add a little bit more oyster. Yeah, that's good. I want to add a little bit more sugar as well. So now I'm bumping it up to maybe a teaspoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of sugar. Really want to taste the sugar here. That's all the sauce. Also, a note on the chili garlic, you can also use sriracha as a substitute. If you don't have Thai chilies, use that or sriracha as a sub. Okay, tastes really good. Okay, that's ready. I'm actually gonna take a little bit of my Thai basil. I'm gonna roll it up, and I'm actually just gonna nicely cut them and then add them to the sauce, because I think that adds a little bit of flavor to the sauce. I love, again, the appearance of Thai basil in this dish is so good, so good. So we forgot to do our onions, so we gotta do our onions real quick. Okay. So our onions are complete. While we're doing that, let's heat up the stove. So we're using canola oil for this dish. Definitely don't use olive oil because it has a lower smoke point. You want to use a grapeseed, a canola, maybe a corn if you will. All those oils are higher in smoke point. Okay, so the pan now is hot enough to cook. So I'm gonna add some garlic to just flavor the oil. That's gonna cook really quickly. Then I wanna add the shrimp as well. I'm just gonna let that cook through. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt for flavor. Yeah, smelling really delicious, the garlic and the oil together. We want to put in our shrimp or protein first to kind of cook that through. And then I want to now bring in our Gailan because that cooks quite slowly. So I'm going to let that shrink down. And with that, I'm also adding my mushrooms. I want to remember to salt throughout, but the sauce will be super salty enough, so I want to be sort of limited. Not the usual salt amount, because the sauce itself will be enough to kind of coat this thing. So we're just cooking that through. You see here the Gailan is now wilting. It's telling you that it's almost cooked. So, and to that, we are going to add our onions. So all these flavors are just coming together, smelling really delicious. Oh, it smells so good. It smells like home. Woo! So I want to cook the onions until they're nice and sweaty. So we're just gonna, so my onions are starting to sweat a little bit. That's really good. I want to add some garlic to this dish. More. Remember we added some in the beginning, but we want to add just a little bit more to flavor in the end. So now you can see that my onions are more translucent. So I'm just gonna marry all that together. You can see now that the Chinese broccoli has wilted. Now I want to add my tomatoes to the dish. Ooh, this is gonna be so colorful and so delicious. Ah, my God, I'm so excited. So all these flavors are now in there. We've cooked our mushrooms and our onions and our Chinese broccoli and our shrimp and garlic. All these flavors are coming together. Right, I'm gonna give it another second because we just added the tomatoes. The shrimp is nicely, I would say about 90% cooked, which is good because we are about 90% of the way there. Your shrimp is the indicator really of when you should put in the noodles because you don't want to overcook the shrimp. That happens really quickly, so you gotta wash the shrimp and wash your vegetables and what the vegetables are telling you to do. So now I think it's time to put in our noodles. Just marry that along. And with the noodles, I'm also gonna add the Thai basil. I'm just gonna let the Thai basil heat up a little bit and really open up its flavor. I know to add the sauce when the Thai basil has wilted. So look how, you wanna be careful too with these noodles. I don't like it when they start to break apart. That's when you know that the noodles are overcooked. So definitely look for that. They're still whole, which I really like. I'm gonna turn up the heat just a little bit. I'm gonna leave it alone now because I don't want to keep tossing them and breaking the noodles. Now I think we're gonna go in and add our sauce. All those flavors are coming together. Ooh, it's smelling so delicious. Needs more soy and sugar. I added probably another teaspoon of soy. I'm gonna do another teaspoon of chili garlic. This is what cooking is, right guys? This is like, hey, you're seasoning and you're salting throughout to make sure that the flavors are there, right? You don't want to be a robot just following a recipe. A recipe is just there to guide us, right? You want to taste. Taste as you go. Taste as you go. Taste, add, adjust, subtract, whatever it may be. And I think with that, we are done. Oh, it smells so delicious. I can't wait to taste this. The shrimp. I haven't had lunch today yet, so this is exciting. Wow. You can really taste the blend of fish sauce, soy, and chili in there. So delicious. But what really makes this just, in my opinion, is the Thai basil. It just brings everything together. The licorice taste is so good. Oh my God. The tomatoes, oddly enough, add a sour component to the dish that I really, really like. It's a dimension that's really surprising. You can really taste the sweetness too of the sugar. Oh, it's so good. I hope you guys try this at home. It's nice, it's easy, it's a one pot dish. I didn't use any other pots, I had one pot, cook everything there. Nice, done, one and done in like 10-20 minutes. You have yourself a really good drunken noodle. This is just as good, if not better, the next day. One thing I'll note to learn for next time is I put in the noodles too early, and you can see the noodles are breaking apart. So if I could change anything for next time, definitely wait a little bit more to add the noodles in. But otherwise the flavors are there. The taste, the texture is there. I love it. I hope you try it. Let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching.